Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. The S&P 500 has had its third worst performing day of 2024 so far. 2024 has been, a pretty bullish year, but considering if that is the third worst day, that's not a good sign. This coming from sentiment here, guys. However, Bitcoin did not see nearly as significant of a drop as the August 4th bloodbath. So if we take a look at Bitcoin here, guys, and we take a look at what happened on August 4th, right over here. Considering markets are moving down, what they are suggesting here is Bitcoin did not actually see that same kind of move to the downside. You guys can also see it here in volume. So if you look at the August 4th volume bar, that negative pressure there to the downside, and then if you can take a look over here, you can't really see because it's behind those icons there. But you guys, here, if I zoom in there, you might be able to see there has not been a large selling event for Bitcoin in the last couple of days. So we had August 4th, the S&P 500 did go down about 3%, but Bitcoin went down over 7%. Then we have September the 3rd, the S&P 500 went down 2.16%, and Bitcoin only went down about 1.82%. This is a promising sign that crypto is becoming gradually less sensitive to fluctuations from equities. And guys, as I've said before, we are to expect a bearish September moving into October, and Thomas Lee is echoing the same.
September's not great, and we always make lows in October, or we have many times, which means usually a lot of times September was not great.
I think investors should be cautious for the next 8 weeks. September.
Next 8 weeks, be cautious.
Yes.
You're not always cautious.
That's right. Market's been up 7 of the 8 months this year, so we know it's an incredibly strong market, but we also have the September cuts, and we have the election, things that'll get people nervous. I think in the next 8 weeks, people get a chance to buy. So I think it's good to be cautious, but just ready to buy that dip.
You have, because you're fearless and you'll say anything, you have in the past actually talked about election-related trades and Trump trades. And do you see anything going on now that indicates anything to you? Bitcoin hasn't been acting very well.
Yeah, Bitcoin hasn't acted well. The two things we're watching to sort of look at how election probabilities are weighed is Bitcoin and energy. I think the fact that oil is being weak, even with some geopolitical risks, tells me I think the market is starting to bet more on a Trump election. But
because there'd be more production.
More production,
bad
yes.
for price, which is not necessarily the way that you might think about things, because we hear about, we're at records for oil production. No one realizes the reason we're at records in this country is because prices were so high that it caused a lot more drilling and activity. And the prices were high because it's harder to drill without and LNG and everything else the Biden administration did.
Yeah, that's right. So people think oil should be higher here for many reasons, but oil's been weak. So I'd say that's probably the market.
That's China too, though, isn't it?
Yeah, China's becoming a bit more mysterious, right? There's even risk maybe of negative GDP there.
Okay, so the next, and funny you said 8 weeks. It's almost exactly 8 weeks, I think. What's that? It's like 63 days or so. So some uncertainty and caution going into the election, but in your view, people should get long.
I think they'll get a chance to buy long, yeah. So I think this is one of those where investors need to be cautious, but in the back of their minds know this is a strong market.
Investors need to be cautious, but guys, it is an opportunity, as Tom Lee does say here, to buy long. Now, whether that is cryptocurrency or the rest of the stock market here, you guys can see the S&P 500. This is just on the daily. It did drop here. You guys can see a pre-market move. It is looking to open at prices that are lower than yesterday's close. If I were to bring up the Russell 2000 as well here, you can see another big move to the downside. And I'm just going to bring up the NASDAQ as well. And surprisingly, the NASDAQ has not performed as poorly as the S&P 500 and the Russell. So this is a heavily weighted tech stock index. And we are actually looking at an open above the close, making a new all-time high for the NASDAQ. So that is interesting. Will Bitcoin follow that trend? Well, Brett here saying this, we are 15 days away from the first Fed cut of this cycle. Using the same time frame, I overlaid the following past rate cut cycles in 1981, 1990, 2000, and 2007. These 4 cutting cycles match the same data that we're seeing currently. The sentiment from the bulls is that rate cuts are suitable for the market. This is true in the long run. History shows that market pumps on average for about 25 days after rate cuts, following by an average of about a 13-month sell-off. So we could see a bit of a pump before a sell-off. This is just another indicator here that markets are going to go down. How far down will they go and how long will it take is still anybody's guess. And even Forbes is saying strap in, serious $40,000 Bitcoin crash warning issued as the Fed suddenly braces for a US dollar crisis that's predicted to spark a total collapse. So this one from Ian Binns here, and I'm just going to read you guys a little bit of this. I mean, here's the narrative, guys. It is, pretty much just all doom and gloom right now. I know it feels kind of fuddy, considering we are waiting for that next uptick for cryptocurrencies, considering we are just waiting for that euphoria phase. And, then we have all this negative news. So here's a quote by Peter Schiff. The US dollar index just hit a new 2024 low, and it's actually still relatively high, but it looks like it's on the verge of a total collapse. This coming from Peter Schiff. The index could easily sink below 90 before year end, challenging the 2020 lows, says Schiff, the founder of money manager Euro Pacific Asset Management and a Bitcoin and crypto skeptic. He later added, I think that low will be breached in 2025, triggering a US dollar crisis, crashing the economy and sending consumer prices and long-term interest rates soaring. So that is his prediction on the matter. Of course, there are a lot of socioeconomic and political factors involved in this. I mean, if we do see Bitcoin going down to $40,000, what would that mean, guys? Let's bring up Bitcoin here real quickly. And a $40,000, here, let me get rid of some of that on the chart. $40,000 for Bitcoin would bring it down in and around, right in around here, actually. Finding its support in and around this level here, that would bring it down about 45%, and that would be a $40,000 Bitcoin. Now, I mean, they're just using round numbers here. $40,000 obviously is a psychological level. If we do see Bitcoin come down, I highly doubt it will be exactly 40,000. I don't know. I mean, we could see Bitcoin go down even further in the 30s. I mean, it really just depends on the rest of the market. I mean, we know cryptocurrency currently is correlated to other wider markets. But as I mentioned in this first tweet here from Santiment, there are promising signs that crypto is becoming gradually less sensitive to fluctuations from equities. So, I mean, it is being felt now in the crypto sphere. 34, we are in fear, guys. Market cap is now below $2 trillion. There has been a significant sell-off there. Activity is up 35.77%. Bitcoin dominance still holding on, though. So every single coin is being bled at roughly the same rate. Bitcoin is down 4.39%. Ethereum's down 4.62%. We've got BNB coin, that's down 6.6%. Solana is down 3.8%. XRP is down 3.42%. And the rest of the altcoin market is down as well. So we are seeing mostly single-digit losses for cryptocurrency today. XRP, as I was mentioning, is down as well, although we haven't seen, that significant shift to the downside for XRP, which is good news. XRP still holding on at 54.9, so just shy of 55 cents. It was trading in and around 55 this morning, and luckily it is still holding on, so we will still sit back, wait and see what's going to happen next, guys. Again, brace yourself for a possible rocky September, but there are lessons to be learned from this. Okay, Lady of Crypto posting this. 3 lessons I learned the hard way during the last bull run. Take advantage of every dip. If an altcoin pumps hard, take partial profit. Sell everything when the bull run feels peaky. Perfect timing doesn't matter, just GTFO when everyone else is euphoric. And again, for more information on what I'm doing, I'm taking a lot of this advice too. I mean, I came to my own conclusions on these types of situations. You can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel for my updates, for my strategies. And, some people are asking me about targets. I am going to be looking at an array of different metrics when it comes to, when I think that euphoria phase is going to kick in. And I'm going to be posting one of them, I think, this week, hopefully within the next couple of days. So if you guys are interested in that, again, it is only $5 a month. You can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. The other thing I wanted to address today, guys, because this seems like a big point of controversy now in the XRP community, this news, this apparently positive news that has taken a bit of a turn over the last few hours. Ripple to add smart contracts to the XRP ledger. Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? And I know the XRP community has been wondering about this. If you guys didn't catch the video I did on this yesterday, I will link it up here in the top right-hand corner if you guys want some context. But here's now what has been coming to light. If you guys have been living under a rock, you probably don't know that Ripple did just announce a move that would open various use cases for users, builders, and entrepreneurs. It aims to attract developers to use XRPL's expanded capabilities. So they are looking to build smart contracts through the XRPL EVM sidechain already in the works, as well as exploring native capabilities on the XRPL mainnet. Now, this has sparked controversy. Wietse did come out with an open letter to the XRP ledger ecosystem and stakeholders. He basically wrote that he has been working on his vision for smart contracts called Hooks, the groundbreaking L1 smart contract solution on the XRP ledger mainnet. He says, the journey hasn't been easy. Our efforts intended for mainnet culminated with the launch of ZAO. Hooks found their home at ZAO, offering a product environment, finally allowing builders to innovate with Hooks. So he was basically outlining his journey there, basically how hard it has been. And then when Ripple did finally say that, they were going to go a different route, he says, it is therefore with mixed emotions that we read Ripple's recent blog post, seemingly embracing the concept of L1 smart contracts, the very idea we proposed and championed years ago. While we're glad to see this shift in perspective, we can't help but feel that the realization comes frustratingly late and at the cost to those who have been driving innovation in the ecosystem. The sudden change in opinion and narrative is surprising. 3 months ago, David Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple, shared a clear message at XRP Ledger Apex. The XRP Ledger mainnet was a fixed function ledger, and smart contracts belong to other networks such as the EVM sidechain and ZAO. Now Ripple is committed to bring native smart contracts to XRP Ledger mainnet. It is hard to coherently and sustainably work towards a thriving ecosystem with such whimsical pivots by the organization consistently pushing for the direction of the core protocol. The lack of direct communication from Ripple's leadership about a pivotal change in stance and the reasons for it is disappointing. Learning about such a significant pivot through back channels rather than through open, direct dialogue speaks volumes about the current state of collaboration within our ecosystem. Moreover, the suggestion of exploring alternative technologies or iterations of Hooks without involving the very architects of the original implementation is both perplexing and concerning. So Wietse coming out with his concern saying, Ripple did not address the XRP Labs team there, Wietse being the leader of that team, and he's feeling a little blindsided here. We now stand at a critical juncture. Ripple faces a clear choice: embrace and support the existing proven Hooks technology on the mainnet, or pursue a separate path that risks alienating dedicated developers and fracturing the ecosystem. The ball is firmly in Ripple's court. We await a comprehensive proposal that demonstrates a genuine commitment to supporting community-driven initiatives. This proposal should clearly outline how Ripple intends to leverage the years of development and real-world application that Hooks has undergone, rather than attempting to reinvent the wheel. So I will link this full letter in the description of the video. I did skip some other parts there, but if you guys want to read the full thing, it is there in all its glory. Some people backing Wietse like Panos here. I couldn't agree more with Wietse. Although excited about the XRPL ecosystem and the upcoming developments, I'm also very confused and disappointed on how Ripple is trying to push everything with no transparency. These continuous pivots and changes by Ripple are not only unprofessional, in my opinion, because they lack transparency and clear communication, but also happening at the expense of builders' collaboration and decentralization. He goes on to say there is a big miscommunication and a big gap between Ripple and the rest of the community and builders. Ripple still acts as the arbiter and controlling entity over the XRP ledger. Well, that shouldn't be the case. Where is the collaboration? Where is the community of builders and involvement? Why a single for-profit entity is trying to push their agenda on the XRP ledger? Why the lack of support and communications with other projects that have been building on the XRP ledger for years? Why the bad managed incentive programs? What happened to the XRP Ledger Foundation? And what will be the role of the new foundation? So all very good questions here. And Panos does tag David Schwartz in this. So the builders are feeling a little blindsided here. We know Wietse, of course, is a builder. Panos, too, is developing on the XRP Ledger. Jesse Hines also stands with Wietse. The most important quote in this open letter to me is, now it's Ripple's turn to show its dedication to the community that has long supported and advanced the XRP Ledger. The community has gotten Ripple to where it is. It's time for Ripple to support the right projects and the right people. Boom. Shots fired over there at Ripple. Jungle Inc. also coming in hot. It won't be Hooks. If it were, I doubt Vind would be writing letters to the void. If Ripple has announced that smart contracts are coming on the XRP Ledger, they've already made their decision. So Jungle Inc. Speculating a little bit here, suggesting, okay, if Ripple is already making these announcements, likely it is that they already kind of know how the path has already been created. Jimbo down here saying Wietse quite rightly wants to highlight something he is passionate about. Any alternative would have to be very impressive to compete with Hooks. That has time to evolve and prove itself on ZAO. It ain't Hook, says Jungle Inc., though. He's just reiterating his original point. The alternative is already the chosen one. And then Jungle Inc., he kind of took some time, I guess, to kind of process what was going on. Instead of firing off angry tweets and yelling at the sky, I'm going to sit back and let more info roll out. And this is exactly what I decided to do. Wait till this morning, because a lot of people did chime in here, including David Schwartz. He goes on to say, I think smart contracts coming to the XRP ledger brings up a lot of questions. It's a big pivot. I will refrain from tossing gas on the fire, at least until tomorrow. Minus Wells responding to that, I think bringing smart contracts will contribute to a thriving XRP ledger, which is ultimately beneficial for the community. He says, if we experience some congestion on the ledger as a result, it will create greater pressure to enhance it further. This is a good problem to have. He says, don't question it, just get it done. So, a lot of people coming in with different philosophies here. You got to remember, a lot of these people are builders, so they have a lot at stake here. Jungle Inc. is a content creator, but Minus Wells, Jesse Hines, and a few other of these people are in fact builders here. Now, Moonkey here commenting on Jungle's comment, taking Ripple's side. It's not that Ripple is the arbiter of the XRPL. It's that Ripple is the most trustworthy and reputable player on the XRP ledger, as well as the one pursuing the use cases most stakeholders care about. The reason your ideas don't get much traction is simply because your history and reputation doesn't compare. Why should we take your word over Ripple's? What have you contributed? Where are your results? It's a trust-based network working exactly as intended. So that could be maybe a little insulting to the developers that have actually yielded results. Crypto Insight UK here posting this. Okay, so looking at the comments under this is actually embarrassing, to be honest. As part of the XRP community, I feel embarrassed. Maybe Ripple did change their mind. Maybe they've not considered all their options, but the community has been screaming for smart contracts and they're coming now. How the heck have we spun this into something negative? And this is kind of the point that, even though maybe it did not go as some people planned in the XRP community, guys, all development on the XRP ledger is positive. And yeah, sure, not all solutions are going to rise to the top, but ultimately what we need as XRP holders, and this again, guys, is why I don't really care so much about the technology. I care about the final product, the final outcome, which is, of course, XRP price rising. That is my MO. I'm in it to make some money here. And this is the exact kind of thing that I don't like getting tangled up in. And I'm kind of this opinion, right, that, we've been wanting more development on the XRP ledger. And so more development should be a good thing. And it is kind of survival of the fittest. What is the best mousetrap? And that one should thrive. So how did we spin this into something negative? I see everyone raging about price action, but it's like an argument in the playground of a school. Get a grip, everyone, and work together. This is positive. Nothing is finalized, as very clearly stated by David Schwartz. If you want to bring people into the community, it needs to be somewhere people want to go, not somewhere full of negativity and criticism. So that is an interesting point here. Guys, I want to mention that there are some interesting responses to some of these tweet threads, but I don't feel like I have a lot of time to get into every single thing. So I just kind of wanted to highlight some of the more, prominent posts here. Hugo Fillion, okay, from the Flare Networks, he also did comment, smart contracts on the XRPL would make FXRP even better. So he's thinking, about his project here. This would make it even easier for XRP to come and be used with all the other assets on Flare coming from other ecosystems such as FBTC and bridged assets through Stargate. Additionally, for use cases that don't require interoperability through Flare, and then Flare oracles could be used on the XRP ledger in a way that they definitely can't today. So go David Schwartz, he's on Team David here. And then Green Eggs and Sam here, looking to get into this maybe a little deeper. WTF is going on with Ripple and XRP? I'm not talking about price. He's talking about the pivot to smart contracts, pissing off Wietse in the process, the pivot to Ethereum, the pre-IPO stock buyback, so he's going back all the way a couple months here, Alloy Networks turning off their hub, etc. This doesn't add up, and I'm seriously considering pulling the plug on this crap show. Apparently, Monica Long pushed the move to transactions to Ethereum to access liquidity. Attempts to build liquidity on the XRPL have failed. The settlement killed their previous business practice to eliminate slippage. Why do they need the XRPL at this point beyond funding operations? I have a lot of serious questions around this, but I want to start with this pre-IPO buyback and flush this out to the community. So it's looking like Sam wants to investigate this. Is it normal for a company to buy back $1.4 billion before going public? Isn't the whole point of going public to raise money from an IPO? Could they simply be paying off their biggest potential enemies before this whole thing falls apart? So Sam here thinking there is perhaps something deeper going on. And again, guys, I am, of course, going to follow all the information that comes out. Anders here, though, kind of coming in, quelling the fears. I translate what David is saying to this. So David Schwartz did respond here, and I guess maybe we should go over David's point first. Seems like there's some confusion over the programmability blog we put out yesterday. Ripple simply cannot and absolutely doesn't want to unilaterally change the XRP ledger. So that is, the first point there. The blog post is Ripple saying that we see the value in bringing programmability to the XRPL mainnet, in addition to what's already happening on the EVM sidechain, and we are making this a priority now, and we're committed to putting out a design proposal for community review. Instead of coming out with a proposal already backed, our intent was to be transparent and show that we'll be now focusing our internal resources and priorities to do the due diligence and come back to the community with our thoughts. Why the sudden change, he says. As many pointed out, I focused on the fixed functionality of the XRP ledger and the EVM sidechain at Apex earlier this year. I genuinely didn't see how smart contracts on mainnet could work without turning XRPL into a different chain. I had conversations in the past with a few people, other community members, and recognized that programmability on mainnet can work if key challenges are addressed. I think the best way to mitigate these risks is to take small steps that lead in the right direction, and it's great to have the historical data of how Hooks has worked on ZAO. I fully acknowledge that plenty of smart minds came to this conclusion that programmability makes sense for the mainnet much earlier. Why now? So he's addressing Wietse's criticism here. Why now? Because the above, we also felt it made sense to share our thinking ahead of the XRP community gatherings in Korea and Japan this week. Because these are important in-person chances to discuss programmability. This is honest and the only reason for the timing. There is no hidden agenda. We have and will continue to be transparent about what we are thinking. We're committed to regular community calls, design reviews with external community members and stakeholders, blog posts explaining considerations and our thought process, and any designs we propose. So David Schwartz, commenting, coming out finally there and replying, I guess, to Wietse's criticisms here. Ratha Kahneman saying, thanks for addressing this. Green Eggs and Sam saying, I appreciate you providing additional clarity. Thanks for the clarification, David. Says Panos here, but there is still some confusion. It means there is something wrong in the way Ripple communicates with the XRPL community, and this has been a big problem in the last couple of years at least. The PR and communications team should consider some changes. So, I don't know. Will there be changes made? And Anders here, I wanted to get back to this Anders tweet because I thought this was interesting. There were some other David Schwartz comments within some of the other tweet threads that were kind of mixed in there. And he ultimately is saying this. I'll translate what David is saying, says Anders. He most likely ran the numbers and figured out hooks would impact performance and transaction price stability. So, guys, the price stability, if Ripple does want to make XRP be that high stable price, there might have been too much volatility with the hooks protocol. So this is just an assumption here based on what David wrote. So price stability meaning payments would get worse, especially the burn amount would become unpredictable and greatly increase to a point where it likely wouldn't be sustainable with the current monetary model. In a situation with a great increase of transactions. I saw a video with Scott Chamberlain discussing these issues, but I cannot find it now. And here's what David wrote originally. I recently became convinced that it's possible to come up with a proposal for smart contracts on the XRP ledger, but he's considering a few things here. Number one, small and safe enough to deploy on mainnet without significant risks to things like transaction price stability and performance for payments. So again, mentioning price stability there. If Ripple does in fact want to create an XRP that is a high stable price, something that the World Bank wants, the IMF wants, then they have to kind of go with their solution. Number two, a jumping point for building a complex and powerful features over time should the demand by there and the initial proposal prove itself. And number three, sufficient to enable managing real-world use cases even in the first release. Now, let me bring you to this point here. One could argue that Hooks already meets all of these three criteria. I'm not quite convinced, though, that it meets the first one. And of course, the first one deals with price stability and performance for payments. So perhaps Hooks just isn't the right solution. Moonkey here also commenting on another David Schwartz tweet. And David Schwartz did respond to Wietse directly. Wietse, to be fair, the RippleX team had a call with you before any post went live. Ripple supported and funded Hooks from the beginning, and we told you many times we'd support Hooks as an amendment on mainnet. I think there's a lot of innovation in hooks as XRPL Labs originally proposed, but I believe some updates could make it a better option for the XRPL mainnet. You're right that I have changed my thoughts on programmability recently, and you absolutely recognize the need for it much earlier. The RX team specifically put this blog post out while in the research phase to continue the conversation and work together, and hopefully with you and others, and what is best, and on what is the best approach for programmability on the XRPL mainnet, and anything put forth from our side will entail a community-driven approach. But Wietse did come back saying, guys, there was no call. There was a brief message, not from decision makers, in between other messages about a change of heart regarding L1 composability. I'm very happy to see the change of heart and excited to see what's coming to mainnet with or without that being hooks as we developed any composability is progress. Also, as expressed many times before, I am very grateful for the resources. But the above things are not what my post is about. My letter is about Ripple pivoting without further explanation. My letter is about explaining to many people who got confused, who sent me DMs, essentially wanting answers for the uncertainty and the indecisiveness. But guys, I think it's more about their mandates, probably about price stability here, especially if David Schwartz did say that, hooks does not meet that First Amendment. If XRP does have to be that high stable price to facilitate payments in the future, well, Ripple is likely going to have to make choices in order to fulfill that. But that's just my opinion. I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you guys want to see what I'm doing this bull run, I know it's going to be a rocky one. You can find all that at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. It is only $5 a month, and I've kept it affordable on purpose so that you guys can follow me throughout this bull run. But subscribe to the YouTube channel too if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments, and I'll see you in the next one, guys.